Welcome back to GTD. It is the last Cars on Wheels bit for this year. NASCAR's been over for a minute. F1 just finished up at Abu Dhabi, and it was a good race. Maybe not the most exciting out front, but still a solid race overall. And let's start.
A lot of fun storylines to follow throughout the race.
Let's start with the constructors' title. It was between McLaren and Ferrari going into the final week. McLaren locked out the front row. Verstappen sent a missile into Oscar Piastri, and then Charles Leclerc gained 11 positions in the first lap. And some Ferrari fans are thinking maybe we have a chance, but Lando Norris was faster than everyone else. And as Keegan's been saying for the last 30 seconds, McLaren won the constructors.
Yeah. The boys in orange is the new black. The boys in orange got it done.
It's papaya.
Papaya. It's orange.
I'm just imitating a McLaren fan.
It's orange. Red.
Yeah.
Blue. Brown. Purple. Purple, blue. Okay, that one's actually a card.
We've now discovered that Keegan is colorblind.
What is this color? What do you call that? I call it purple blue.
Okay, to be fair, from behind it, it's blue.
Yes, yeah, I mean, yeah. But purple blue from the front. White. Green. I don't know if I've already said green.
I feel like this is enough colors.
I think that's the rainbow. I think cover the rainbow. That was my goal. Cover the rainbow.
You missed yellow, but it's down there.
Yellow somewhere in this room. Yellow. Boom. Yellow.
Good job, Keaton. Now that Keaton's taking you to the rainbow.
Back to F1. Where were we? Yes, Abu Dhabi race over. Let's talk about it.
So, yeah. Lando Norris had the fastest car for all this race. Drove well. Easy Norris win. Sainz was there behind him, kind of in the pressure zone. Didn't quite have the pace, though. Don't think Ferrari was good enough on their tires. And let's talk about the two best drives of this race. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
From the back to almost the front, Lewis Hamilton finished P4. Leclerc finished on the podium in P3. And how about the first lap from Leclerc up 11 spots?
Yeah, it would have been fun to see what he did if he didn't get his lap canceled. There's an argument to be had there. But if he didn't get his lap canceled, it would have been fun to see what he could have done from assumingly a top 3, top 4
or even
position.
If the battery worked and he didn't have a 10-place grid penalty.
Yeah, that as well. It'd be interesting to see what he could have done there. But yeah, also Hamilton, incredible. You kind of got the feeling last weekend that he was just ready. Like, he didn't want anything more than to not get in a Mercedes again. Like, he was just done for the season, ready to get into Ferrari. And then shows up this week and does what he does.
This is a guy that's never going to give up. And I think he more than proved he's still one of the best in race trim in F1. People have been talking about Hamilton washed. And while he hasn't really had the handle on the Mercedes in qualifying, you look at his race drives, and so many of them this year have been absolutely incredible. I'm so excited to see these two together next year. It's going to be very weird to not see Hamilton in a Mercedes. It's been since the McLaren days, a very long way back. I believe 2012 was the last, either 2012 or 2013.
To see him in a red jumpsuit, walking around in a red jumpsuit, he's gonna. I'm gonna have to do some double takes next year.
Speaking of Ferrari, though, let's talk about your boy Carlos Sainz.
Yes.
Left Ferrari with a podium.
Also, hold on, time out. Cadillac. Listen to me now. You have an opportunity. You know what you have to do. Who are you gonna go get on the grid? Who's kind of like up in the air right now? It's Sainz.
Nick DeVries.
It's Sainz. Like, it's you and Audi competing for this guy. All right. Don't let this guy lose. Don't lose this guy to the Germans. Okay. Don't. Just get him. If he goes to Audi, I'm okay with that too.
Keegan hates Germans.
No, whoa, easy. No, I like Audi. I wanted R8 so bad when I was 16. A little bit out of the price range.
Just a tad.
Yeah, just a tad.
You want the V10 or the V8?
V10. Duh. Bigger the better. Not always, but you know. I would be so happy if Sainz just, because I live in America, if Sainz just raced for an American team like Cadillac. That I don't know. I can see Sainz in a caddy, you know?
Yeah,
just showing that screen a caddy.
I would love a Colton Herta, Carlos Sainz lineup. That'd be very entertaining.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It seems like he's locked on to go to Audi in a couple of years. It seems like there have been a ton of talks. There's a lot of smoke behind him moving to Audi.
Right, but this team is new, so all those talks did happen without this even being a thing. There was talks, but all right. Anyways, back to Abu Dhabi. Sainz last race comes out on not on top, but close to on top. You know, I mean, he had a great career with Ferrari. It's something that they're both going to look back on fondly of. I assume. I hope. I hope there's no bad blood there. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot. No. There's been moments.
There was a little
in the
bit
season,
the bit at Vegas, but I think that was more just Leclerc being upset that whatever agreement they had wasn't followed. But other than that, they've seemed to get on fine. So I don't think any bad blood there at all. And speaking of guys on their last race with a team, let's talk about a few of the others. So Kevin Magnussen with Haas was crashed into by Valtteri Bottas, who is
also in his
retiring.
Last,
Then Franco Colapinto had part of the car break because the Williams at this point is held together with duct tape after all the crashes they've had. So he retired. Esteban Ocon didn't even make it to the race. Alpine said Jack Doohan's in the car now. So that was sad too. But then the one that's still up in the air, Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
DNF'd.
And you might be thinking, well, it's not his last race. Well, we don't know that. And that's where this comes in. Do you think this is Checo Perez's last race in F1 and with Ferrari? Answer both. I think if you answer
he's never
one way,
raced with Ferrari, so
with Red Bull. I think if you answer one way, you kind of have to answer the other one.
I think he's done.
Okay.
There's so much behind the Liam Lawson rumors right now. I think it happens. I don't agree with it. I think if you're going to replace him, it should be Yuki Tsunoda based on their performances, but they seem to really love Lawson. I don't know if it's because Tsunoda still has the ties with Honda and Honda leaving to go to Aston Martin. I don't know if they want to have to deal with that in the team, but Liam Lawson, I think, will replace Sergio Perez after.
I think Perez is gone. I think, obviously, if I think he's gone from Red Bull, he's done racing. He's not in F1 anymore. I do think it's going to be a V-Carb driver, obviously. I'm kind of in your boat. I hope it's Tsunoda, but like you said, they like Lawson. Maybe. I mean, it's Red Bull, so I'm not really expecting them to do what the fans want. But I don't know. I can see a world where they take Tsunoda, maybe a 1-year deal. You have a year. Show us what you got, because here's Max Verstappen. I know you're not Max Verstappen, but here's how he's going to perform. If you perform in this range, adjacent to him, we'll keep you.
I think ideally Red Bull wants a second driver that can lose maybe 10 seconds to Max over the course of a race.
Yeah, I just think
looked at when Perez was in that window earlier in his time at Red Bull. They was absolutely fine. No one was complaining about that.
I just think they want a guy where they can compete for the constructors.
Yeah,
and right now they compete, but it's really only because
you compete with Max, and then Perez goes out in Q1.
So they want a guy that they can if Max has a year like he had last year, or another record year, or a championship year, we should win constructors. All you have to do is finish 5th week to week.
Or even if Max decides he wants to go punt Oscar Piastri off, you need a guy that can pick up the points when Verstappen is not up there in the order, which I don't know what he was thinking there. Look, that car was never going to make it there without understeering into Piastri. I love Max, but that was not on. That was never on.
This is the conversation.
And then he went and called the stewards stupid idiots.
Yeah, this is the conversation we have with young, gun-happy, gung-ho quarterbacks. They do great, but they're going to throw interceptions from time to time. He threw an interception this weekend. I mean, that's what you get with Max Verstappen.
But also, as Martin Brundle said, you're a 4-time world champion, Max. You're better than that.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, he'll clean that up. It was the last race. He was probably just like, I've already won the championship. Let's just have fun.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. Let's just really test how far the stewards will go. But yeah, so
tell George Russell he's next.
You brought up something interesting right before we started recording and put it on our doc. You think this is the best season since 2012, beating 2021?
I think for me personally, I prefer this season to 2021. I know there was the great championship battle between Verstappen and Hamilton, and that had its own entertainment, but I just love the sheer unpredictability of the back half of this season. You came to tracks week to week most of the time not knowing who was going to be fastest. If the Mercedes randomly was quickest, Ferrari versus McLaren, sometimes Max. I loved it. It was super entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. So I think for me it's the best season. I think it's the best parity we've seen since 2012. So
do you have a race that stands out? You have a favorite race?
Well, Leclerc won at Monza and Monaco, so those two are up there. Even though they were both pretty boring races.
Besides a Leclerc win, just a race that was that was peak F1 right there.
Qatar was a very good race, honestly. I know it's a little bit of recency bias, but Qatar was a very good race. Let me go back through the schedule right quick, see if there's any others that I'm potentially forgetting. Silverstone was
I was glad to see Imola back on the schedule. I think that was a good one.
Silverstone was a very good race. I enjoyed that a lot. The chaos at the end of Austria with Verstappen and Norris coming together. I wouldn't say that was the best
race. That one
race.
popped into my head as well as up there. Just it had the community talking.
The Ferrari 1-2 at the USGP was incredible.
It was good.
It was not a good race, but it was fun.
Yeah.
For Ferrari Brazil,
fans.
How can we forget Brazil? The crazy wet race, Alpine double podium. That was a great race. So yeah, I think there were so many good races. I mean, you look at after, I would say McLaren's probably had the fastest car since about Miami. You look after Miami, Monaco, you had the Leclerc storyline. Canada was a decent race. Austria, you had the chaos. Great Britain, Hamilton winning for Mercedes there. That was a great race. Belgium with the Russell disqualification. Netherlands was the Norris domination. Italy, you had Leclerc winning at home or at Ferrari's home. So a lot of good storylines, a lot of good races this year. So for me, it does. I think it's
it was
better
a great season. I think it's only going to get better next year. I think it's going to be more tight, more competitive next year.
Because the regulations don't change going into
right, and I think Ferrari's going to show up at the beginning of the season next year. Less so than delay that they were this year. And we'll get more into this right before the season kicks off, maybe an episode before the first race. But I just want to hit this one just because it's a big storyline right now with the biggest driver. Williams Sainz, a lot of talk that he's really trying to make that team better. Obviously, if he's going to go race there for a few years.
Don't crash.
What are your expectations as far as Williams next year in constructors or whatever?
The issue is I don't know how much development time and money they lost having to repair cars every week for the past 2 months of the season. So without that, I think I would have said he drags them up the order a little bit, but at this point, I'm just not sure what kind of resources they'll have.
Yeah, I agree. We'll have to wait. As we get closer to the season, they had like the test and all those things. Yeah. We'll see. Obviously, he's going to outdrive that car a little bit. Maybe it's a position or two a week.
You never know until Q2 in Bahrain or Australia or wherever we start next year, though.
Yeah. So, well, you have that to look forward to. If you're a Williams fan or a Sainz fan, just change in general.
This guy.
So, yeah, I think the Williams fans are going to like this guy. Incredible talent.
I'm very excited for Leclerc versus Hamilton next season as a Leclerc fan.
Okay. Well, I know we're going to get into this a lot more in the season, but just one word. Who has a better year next year?
Hamilton.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the right answer.
I think Leclerc beats Hamilton in the qualifying head-to-head. I think Hamilton beats Leclerc in the race head-to-head.
I agree 100%, actually.
Leclerc is a great driver. I love him, but Lewis Hamilton is the best of all time.
Is he competing for a world championship?
I hope so.
Okay, if the cars, so take the Red Bull, McLaren, and Ferrari from Abu Dhabi, the exact same cars.
From
Abu Dhabi, not from the whole season, just from Abu Dhabi.
Just from Abu Dhabi.
Well, maybe not.
It's hard enough because Verstappen crashed.
Well, I'm just saying, like, not just from that race, just where the cars were at that point in the season.
Where the cars were at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think you see Max versus Lewis again, but Lando right behind them, and if they keep tripping over each other, Lando might sneak through.
I like that. I hope that happens. I really do. It's going to be a fun year. I hope Ferrari can come back to having, a champion echelon year.
It's been since 2007. Please, a Ferrari world champion.
Yeah, but until then, you can just keep watching us talk about football and professional football
and we'll have some off-season stuff for racing too. Don't worry. We've got some interesting. We can do like driver grades. We've got other things to talk about for NASCAR as well.
What we'll probably do is combine NASCAR and F1 in just a motorsports episode. While there's less stuff to talk about.
There will be wheel talk over the winter.
A lot more NASCAR. NASCAR's starting to heat up.
With wheels.
Some interesting storylines there. But yeah, until then, watch our other videos.
Before we go, it's time for Dog of the Week. It's the random dude who gave the interview after the dirt race last night.
Oh.
Who was like, well, shucks. And his car went through the fence. He didn't say, well, shucks. But his car went through the fence. They interviewed him. He was like, well, yeah, it didn't go so well.
Yeah, that reminds me. I don't know if you saw the one from, it might have been years ago at this point, where he's like, I'm the nicest, coolest cat in the world. But once that black hits the ground, I throw my sack over the shoulder, and I'm pedal to the metal, baby. Yeehaw!
Yeah,
shades of those. And I love those interviews. I love those guys. My brother's one of those guys. So,
shout out to that dude.
Yeah.
I wish I knew his name, but yeah.
Yeah, Dog of the Week. Also, Leclerc. Why not?
Cool.
I'll throw that in there.
Yeah.
All right. This episode drug on long enough.
Yes.
See y'all
Bye.
in the coming weeks.